Okay, so welcome to level 13, lecture number 1. Okay, so in this topic, we'll be discussing about derivatives. Okay, so ano ba yung derivative? So the derivative is the rate of change, or that is the amount by which a function is changing at a given point. So you can imagine yung rate of change na para siyang, halimbawa, speed. Ayan, rate of change yun, rate of change of distance over time. Okay, kaya nga actually, yung mga velocity, acceleration, actually merong mga gumagamit tayo ng calculus doon or kinukuha natin yung derivative ng isang function para makuha yung value ng velocity niya, value ng acceleration. So the derivatives can also be defined as the slope of a tangent line at a point on a graph. So for example, meron kayong graph and then yung value ng slope ng tangent line na pwede nyong i-draw passing through that point on the graph. Okay, that is also an illustration of what the derivative is. So usually, it is written as dy over dx. So ibig sabihin nito, difference in y divided by the difference in x. Or sometimes, we also read this as f prime of x or sometimes y prime. Okay, so ito yung mga example ng mga notations natin for derivatives. Okay, so sa derivatives, meron tayong different rules. Okay? Ito yung isa mga parts ng basic algebra na I'm sure mas mai-enjoy ninyo and mas madali nyo matututunan. So, ang constant rule natin, sinasabi dito na kung ang f of x is actually equal to a constant, then f of x prime or the derivative of a constant is equal to 0. So, simpleng statement, ang derivative ng constant ay 0. Okay, so, napakadaling tandaan. Okay, so for example, find the derivative of the following. The function of x is equal to 1/2. Okay, so since 1/2 is a constant, obviously, ang f prime of x is equal to 0. Yan. So, in short, ang derivative ng 1/2 is just equal to 0. Okay, so daling tandaan, di ba? Okay, next example. Okay, so this time we have f of r is equal to 18. So, since 18 is a constant, so you can guess that the derivative of 18 is equal to 0. Yan. Or f prime of r is equal to 0. Okay, another example, f of z is equal to 31. Okay, so kung kukunin natin ang derivative ng 31, 31 is a constant. So, ibig sabihin, ang value ng derivative ng constant or the value of the derivative of 31 is also equal to 0. Or we can say, f prime of z is equal to 0. So, madali lang, di ba? Okay, next one, power rule. Sa power rule naman, sinasabi dito na if f of x is equal to x raised to n, so kung meron ka ritong any variable na naka-raise sa isang exponent, so ang pagkuha natin ng derivative natin dyan, or the f prime of x is just equal to, okay, anong steps? Yung exponent, imumultiply natin siya dito sa ating variable. So, ibababa natin yung n dito. Okay? And then, magsusubtract tayo ng 1 dun sa exponent. Okay, so let's have an example for that. Okay, find the derivative of the following. So, f of c is equal to c cubed. Okay, so first step, i-multiply muna ang exponent sa term. So, ano ba exponent dito? So, ang exponent natin dito ay itong 3. Ayan. So, you can imagine na parang ibababa natin siya, okay, para ma-multiply. Kaya, magiging 3, okay, dito. And then, our next step, magma-minus tayo ng 1 dun sa exponent natin. Kaya, dun sa 3, okay, so magiging ano yan, 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so therefore, magiging answer natin is 3c squared. Okay, so yan ang final answer natin. So, ito yung derivative ng f prime of c. So, 3c squared. Okay, so another example. So, find the derivative of the following. So, you have f of z is equal to z raised to 4. Okay, again, first step, i-multiply yung exponent sa term. So, exponent natin is 4. So, parang ibababa natin siya. Kaya magiging 4 times z. Okay, and then magma-minus tayo ng 1 sa exponent. So, exponent natin is 4. So, minus tayo. Magiging 4 minus 1 equals 3. Kaya, magiging final answer natin is 4z cubed. So, this is f prime of z. Pwede na natin ito nga palang isulat as z prime. Okay, another example. Find the derivative of the following. F of x is equal to x raised to 1/2. Okay, so step 1, multiply the exponent sa term. So, mangyayari yung 1/2 natin na exponent, ibababa natin. So, magiging 1/2 times x, then minus 1 sa exponent. So, ano ba yung 1/2 minus 1? So, okay, so 1/2 minus 1 is equal to negative 1/2. Okay, so magiging final answer natin is f prime of x is equal to 1/2 and then x raised to negative 1/2. Now, there's also another way of writing yung mga mayroong negative exponents. So, kung recall natin, di ba, sa algebra, pwede natin alisin yung negative exponent by getting the reciprocal. Okay, so the final answer can also be written as 1 over 2 x raised to 1/2. Okay, so remember natin yung rule of yung law of exponents for negative exponents na yung x raised to 1/2, pwede natin gawin na 1 over x raised to positive 1/2. Okay, so next, we'll have the constant multiple rule. Okay, so paano naman to? So, for example, meron tayong constant na nakamultiply sa ating f of x. So, kung kukunin natin yung derivative niya, so, derivative of g of x is equal to the constant times f prime of x. Okay, for example. Okay, for example, find the derivative of the following. So, meron tayong 3x. Okay, again, step 1, multiply ang exponent sa term. Now, since hindi nakasulat kanina yung exponent sa x, automatically it's 1. Okay? So, ibababa natin yung exponent na 1, i-multiply natin siya dun sa 3. Okay? Kaya magiging 3x. So, minus 1 sa exponent. So, since 1 ang exponent dito, magmang-minus tayo ng 1, kaya 0. So, magiging sagot is f prime of x is equal to 3 times 0. I mean, x raised to 0. Now, remember, yung x raised to 0 natin is also equivalent to 1. So, let's recall the rules of exponent or the laws of exponents. So, since yun ay equal to 1, ibig sabihin, f prime of x is simply equal to 3. Or in short, alam niyo, para mas madali, ang shortcut dito is, kapag nakakita kayo ng ganito, halimbawa 3x, tapos wala siyang, katas ang exponent niya is only 1, kunin nyo na lang to, kopyahin nyo na lang yung constant, yun na yung derivative niya. Let's have another example. So, find the derivative of the following. F of s is equal to 15s. So, step 1, i-multiply yung exponent sa term. So, we have 15s raised to 1. So, parang yung first case kanina. So, yung exponent natin, i-multiply natin sa 15. Kaya magiging 15s. And then, minus 1 sa exponent. So, ano ba yung exponent natin? So, 1. So, 1 minus 1 again is equal to 0. Kaya magiging 15s raised to 0. But remember that s raised to 0 is equal to 1. Kaya, f of s is just equal to 15. So, again, ano yung pwede natin gamitin na shortcut? So, pag nakita tayo ng ganito, so 15s, so wala namang, kung ang exponent mo is ang exponent niya is just equal to 1 dun sa variable, automatically, kopyahin mo na lang yung constant. Then, i-disregard mo na yung variable. Okay, find the derivative of the following. So, f of m is equal to 2m squared. Okay, so i-multiply natin ang exponent sa term. So, let's say we have 2m squared. Okay, so yung 2, ibababa natin. Yan, so magiging 2 times 2, magiging 4. Okay, and then mag-minus 1 sa exponent. So, yung 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. Kaya magiging 4m raised to 1. But let's take note na yung m raised to 1 is just equal to m. Okay? So, kaya yung final answer natin is f prime of m is equal to 4m. Another example, example number 4. So, find the derivative of the following. So, you have 1/3 r cubed. Okay, so again, multiply ang exponent sa term. So, yung exponent natin na 3, ibababa natin dito. Multiply natin siya sa 1/3. If you notice, makakancel mo yung 3 dito actually. Ayan, cancel sila. Kaya magiging r cube na lang. Okay, and then minus 1 sa exponents. So, 3 minus 1 equals 2. Kaya magiging r squared. And this is your final answer. So, the derivative of 1/3 r cubed is equal to r squared. Okay, so that concludes level 13, lecture number 1. So, make sure na master nyo to kasi gagamitin nyo rin to for studying the next lectures for the derivatives.